Rimfire Pacific Mining. This is a presentation on the emerging greenfields gold discovery we have in New South Wales. The disclaimer, which you can pick up on the website, usual forward-looking statements. This has been released to the market, so you can follow up at a later stage. I'll go through a few things in this presentation. An introduction to the company and project areas, the history of Firefield and Rimfire's recent gold discovery, recent results and work programs, geological model development, it's still work in progress, looking forward to what sort of discovery and delineation work we have ahead, and a brief summary position. The project, has this got a pointer on it as well? Yeah, got it. The project I'll talk about today is at Firefield in central New South Wales. It was originally an alluvial gold discovery in the 1880s, coarse gold, but was quickly superseded by platinum in the 1890s. The area became known internationally as the British Commonwealth's largest platinum producer, with recorded production of about 20,000 ounces. What we have in 2010, we did chase and are chasing the platinum work that was done historically in the area, but through that process we've uncovered a fine gold system with strong silver credits in 2010, and we call this the Surpriser Gold Project. There's also some base metal potential. A quick company profile. We have 610 million shares on issue. We did a recent capital raising at 3 cents, about $2.5 million was raised there. Our market cap is 38 million, roughly. We don't have a resource, we're still early stage. Our highs in October, we reached a high of 9.3 on a recent announcement, but we've traded fairly steadily in the 3 cent range prior to that. Our volumes are reasonable for a small cap company, particularly in tough markets. Our shareholder spread has been fairly steady with about 2,000 shareholders, and we have about 3.4 million in the bank. Just a quick look at the share price. Down the bottom we see the index of mid-cap resource stocks in blue. Rimfire's in the orange there, or orange-yellow. We've performed above that for the last 2 years. That's a 2-year timeline. So the share performance has been pretty solid in tough markets. The graph at the top here represents really a volume share price graph with some key milestones. The Trench 31, so-called Discovery Trench, in November 2010. The first drill program that was conducted on the site in mid-July 2011, and the recently announced results October this year. The position of our projects in the red tenements shown in the Lachlan-Cadia lineament, very famous corridor, everyone's been speaking about that already. The nearest mine to us is the North Parkes mine, about 50k. We have Ivan Platt-Syerston with the nickel laterite on our border, and new emerging projects and recent mines heading up in this corridor. So it's a very good address, and we've added a little bit of sauce and sizzle to the equation right in the middle with a fine gold discovery. I want to take you into the tenements. The blue is the outline of our tenement package. The township of Firefield's right in the middle of the action. We have about 300 square kilometres of package there. We actually have freehold land, about 210 hectares, and it sits on this structure here, which is the Platina Lead, which was historically mined for the platinum. That's where most of the 20,000 ounces came out of. The Surpriser Gold Project is outlined in this little blob here, and it sits amongst the 3 historic paleo channels: the Firefield Lead, which was a gold discovery, the Platina Lead, which was platinum dominant, about 5 parts to 1 platinum to gold, and the Gillimbine Lead. The red areas out here represent our platinum in soil work, about 4 square kilometres. So there's quite distinct zoning going on. We've got big structural features. It's a great area for highly mineralised ground. The infrastructure is excellent. We have roads that go by our door. You can see us on Street View if you want to. We have electricity, three-phase, just 3k away, and a very good land package. Here's our freehold position. Here's the Surpresa project. I've outlined essentially the mineralisation in the vicinity, so I won't go over that again. But it was a geochemistry discovery, and I want to walk you through that very briefly. Here we have a geochemistry map. It's a contour map. We did this contour in 2010. The red areas represent 25 parts per billion at the upper end and above. So it's a very subtle expression. Why did we do the survey? Well, in 2007, in this location here, we obtained a rock chip from some old dumps, and it came in at 8.8 grams gold. We did some light traverses. We had an RC rig there. We got a gold intersection. We thought that looks interesting. We're still doing our platinum work, but we then eventually got around to doing a geochemical survey. When we did the survey, we wanted to see how real the geochemistry was. Was it just background or genuine anomalism? So down in this area here was one of our auger traverses. We got an elevation in the bedrock down to 2 metres. This is all residual soil where we've got the coloured contours. And we came up with a gold intersection in a channel sample at the bottom of the trench in the sidewall at 9 metres at 4.9 gram. So we'd gone from 50 ppb in the soil above it to 2 metres below at 4.9 gram. The market re-rated us based on this work and immediately made the assumption that the rest of the geochem was probably real. The carve-outs in the geochem are represented by the grey areas. They are transported light alluvium, so we consider them less reliable and have not included that in the geochemistry. If we race through and have a look what we did in 2011 and 12, really race through. We picked 4 areas on the geochem, which we've labelled here, to do drilling. So in 2011 was our first pass program. We did 3,500 metres. This year we will be up to about 9,000 metres, and we've had a very good success rate. The geochem was clearly gold bearing. 34 of 56 holes came in above a gram a tonne in 2 metre intervals, with a 63 gram as a high. In 2012 we've hit 86 gram and 118 gram in 2 metre intervals. These two values are 1.2k apart. We're now putting in deeper holes, we're stepping out further, we've got more confidence in what we're doing, and we have an important 2,500 metres in for assay at the moment, which will add further context. So we will be moving away from the geochem and be working the areas that are less expressed in the surface. We have an IP chargeability anomaly. We only did the IP subsequent to other geophysics and to the understanding of the reality of the geochem, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. Some of the highlights, again, we have strong pathfinders in the gold mineralisation. Arsenic, lead and antimony. 52 of the 150 holes that have been assayed to date have 10 gram metres of gold or better as intersections. We have intersections below the base of oxidation, and we have a strong halo of gold in most of the holes, up to 0.2 gram. We have 2 holes in particular that have been reported in the last 4 months that, according to the literature I've seen, sit in the top 10 gold exploration greenfields. It's highly qualified. Holes in Australia in the last 12 months. So hole 160, 14 metres at 21.9 gram with a good silver credit, and FI 212, which we announced in October, 14 metres at 24.4 gram, including a strong silver zone, 26 metres at 155. A subsequent hole next to 212 came in with silver values close to 1,000 ppm. We have fine disseminated native gold hosted in carbonaceous sediments, and that's the basis for the repeatability. It's not a coarse fraction. In general, the gold is, we do have a coarse fraction in parts, but it's very minor and probably not taken up into the results to date. The roadside area, which is an area to the north, is the silver dominant area to date. If we look at the wider district very quickly, here's the Surpresa area. The scale here is 2K. We've actually got gold ships in and around the district at a lot of different ports. So it's an active area, highly gold mineralised, not just restricted to the current discovery. We have a gold receptive horizon, which is our carbonaceous sediments, pervasively silicified. This is a carbon that's been fractured, and the gold hydrothermal fluids. The silver has mineralised this in the cross-cutting structures and shears. We term it a gold receptive horizon. When it's pervasively silicified, we get the black so-called silica. This is highly fractured and brecciated in these examples. We see this rock unit now we've got our eye in across a wide area of the district. We think that the Surpresa is part of a much bigger gold system. You can see the gold included here in parts of this silica. It's a bit hard to see. That's about a 0.5 mil bar. And we've developed a geological concept model that this sits in a syncline basin setting, and the richer parts of the basin are yet to be explored properly, and Surpresa, where the current discovery is at the margin of that basin. This is a rolling example of what the model looks like. We've got a rolling 30-metre thick horizon at the Surpresa end. It's got cross-cutting structures which are gold mineralised. We've got gold coming up and leaking through to the surface. We have a capping rock, an acid volcanic, and we think there's definitely room for pooling of gold within this environment to lead to larger lode-like systems. So 3D pods and probable pooling. We have a quick look again at Trench 31 area. That's down in the southwest of our prospect. This is some of the drilling that's been undertaken. Here's the original Trench 31. I should explain it wasn't the 31st go to find this. It was the first trench at Surpresa, but the 31st trench for us as a company in the district, looking at platinum and other things. We have stepped out a range of holes here. You can see the scale down in this area is about 250 metres and about 100 metres wide. We're now starting to build up some sections. Have a closer look in. At one of the areas you can see our hole 160 with a high grade, some of the other high grades, but most of the grade is not too shabby, and the additional holes are going in here. There's another 2 rows. We anticipate the assays for those will come out in the next 3 to 4 weeks. The sections are being built. We're extending down this line here. These are 10 metre RL values. So it's near surface. Most of this gold and silver has been seen in the oxide layer, so it's very amenable to surface with a very subtle expression in the geochemistry. There's no outcrop and no historic assistance on the work that we've been done. So we couldn't easily get a strike or a dip without a lot of forensic work. So we're working towards resource estimates in the known and developed areas. The IP survey that we did started in beginning of 2012. You can see the geochemistry outline of Surpresa again, done in contour. So again, the red is 25 parts per billion. And we ran IP lines at 100 metre spacings. What we noticed first of all is the unusual curved face of the geochemistry was somewhat mirrored in the IP response. The roadside area, which is up here, the IP response came closest to the surface, so we decided to use that as a catalyst to check in the upper levels cheaply what the IP might represent, and we've just started that work now. This is a 3D offset image. The IP response goes down dip increases in chargeability as you get down to a depth. This is a depth of about 350, 400 metres. We realise the resolution is going to be not too specific down here, but the trend again mirrors the dip we are seeing on the mineralisation in the near surface position. This is an ISO surface of the IP, 16 millivolts per volt. Again, you can see it's quite a large structure, 1.2 kilometres. Here's the geochemistry position again outlined, and we have drill holes that we've put in to date and some sections through this. This is the roadside area where the IP comes closer to surface, so we've recently put some holes into this area. Here is a plan view of the roadside area. It shows the historic drilling here in black and the more recent drilling in blue, with an area extended to the north. The red circles represent the IP as it's projected to surface in these locations, and the high results that we've had in recent times, hole 212 and 214, are on this projected line. As we look at a cross-section of the two areas shown in the previous slide, this is where the IP comes closest to surface. You can see some drill holes have gone into this. Similarly, in the area where the IP is slightly deeper but still relatively near surface, this is our hole 212. As we project out east, we again have intersected parts of the IP. What we've seen in the field is encouraging in terms of the sorts of things you would like to see, generating an IP response, and we would be hopeful with the assays pending that we would get some confirmation as to the relationship between the mineralisation and the IP, at least at the beginning phase. This now is our complete model for the area, conceptual geological model. Here is Surpriser. We've marked in here the black silica areas so that you can see them across the district. That scale bar is about 5K, and we have the big intersections, or the biggest ones we've had to date, shown on that line. We believe Surpriser is at the periphery of the Rift Basin centre. Much of the Rift Basin is covered in alluvium, as you can see with this grey outline, so is not easily prospected with geochemistry. But what we see is a re-emergence of the black silica, and where we have a residual area, we've recently done some more geochemistry, and we have a very good line of anomalism along a fence line there, up to 300 ppb gold. So it's essentially of the order, if not better, than what we see in this part of the Surpriser prospect. You can see the drilling we've done along Surpriser, so we've built this up with detailed mapping and forensic work. We have footwall geology, which is showing gold coming through leakage anomalies through the area. We think as a company we have not seen the best of the gold grades that are likely, and that this setting represents the potential for multi-million ounce gold potential. Doesn't mean we're there just with the Surpriser work, but it does mean our setting looks highly promising with high grades, 8 square kilometres, and the key geological marker rock that we've been using, extensive in the area. So, if we can summarise some of these points, the mineralisation expression in the surface is subtle. Remember, this is green fields. We're not working off the back of other people's discovery. Trench 31 location in the geochem was only discovered because it eroded its surface. There will be many non-eroded positions we're yet to see. We have high-grade silver and gold demonstrated, and it's a fine disseminated system, so it assays well. We have good discovery aids with our pathfinder elements, and a possible deeper connection to the suggested IP signature. Conventional exploration will get us through, and the coarse fraction is a bonus to all of these results. We have a wider area beyond Surpriser in the conceptual area that reflects even more gold potential. The drilling plans we have going forward is to use an in-house, an in-house percussion rig that we have to do 10,000 metres next year for discovery, scout and delineation, to use external contractors to bring in another 10 to 15,000 of delineation, and some likely follow-up geophysics. The target types will be the extension of the known Surpriser area and expansion within the 8 square kilometre basin, and the IP anomaly, which we need to get to depths of 150 to 350 to fully test. We have a lot of regional targets, and we'll do line drilling through the alluvium to tune these areas up a little quicker. I won't go through all the prospects, but we've outlined them. We've got internal plans as to what we intend to do in terms of exploration discovery in each of these areas. So the objectives for 2013 are to get some maiden resource definitions, to resolve the connection with the IP, to resolve the connection with the IP, to do some important metallurgical testing, and expansion of the discoveries beyond the current Surpriser area. This obviously will require further investment in management and greater use of capital going forward. So why invest in Rimfire? Surpriser is at an exciting stage. We have high grade, fine disseminated native gold with good silver zoning and credits, a near surface mineralisation with very good infrastructure with road and electricity close by, and moving towards resource definitions. We have discovery growth potential in this area, in the wider Surpriser 8 square kilometre area. It's strongly gold mineralised. We're developing a model which is fitting the facts. It's part of a much larger gold mineralising system at Firefield, and we think there are world-class discoveries possible in this setting and the potential for multi-million ounce gold. The company should look very different in 12 months' time. Thank you very much.